Hello everyone and welcome you all to the second lecture on subject deep learning for MTech third semester. And today in this lecture, I will discuss about some supervised learning problem and classification algorithms. And then I will discuss about some applications of classification algorithms. So here we start with today's lecture and next move on to supervised learning problem. So as we have discussed in the first lecture, supervised learning in supervised learning, we learn to map an input to output, and in supervised learning, uh, uh, I can give some kind of input, like I can give the description of the patients who come to my clinic, or I can give the description of the question, and I want that system should give me the answer whether patient have a specific kind of disease, yes or no, or whether the answer for the question is true or false, yes or no, or 0 or 1. So in supervised learning, we learn to map from an input to output, and we have some labeled input. And in supervised learning, we talk about experience. So uh, in supervised learning, the data which comes, it must have some level, that is different attributes of data. So for example, I have a customer database, the customers who are coming to my shop, and I have collected their information, such as the weight, age of customer, and the income level of customers. So this is known as training data. So these data comes as a discrete point in the input space, and on in this data, we take the data in two dimension, that is on x-axis and on y-axis. And on x-axis, the income of the customers who are coming to my shop, and on y-axis the age of the customers. So the goal of this data, I want to classify. I have a shop. Suppose I have a computer shop, and I would like to know that whether the customer of a particular age and of a particular income group will buy or does not buy a computer. So, based on the information that I have categorized the data into two types, and the red points indicate the customer will not buy the computer. The red point indicate the customer will not buy the computer, and blue point indicate the customer will buy the computer. So there are two levels in the data, yes and yes or no. And the goal of this classification, that we need to come up with a solution that take as input two attributes, that is age of a customer and income level of customer, and then it can give me who all are the customer will buy the computer, and who will not buy the computer. So how we can design a classifier so that the data may be classified as and it will give me the output, the set of customers who will buy the computer and set of customers who will not buy the computer. So there may be variety of ways in which we can design a classifier. So we can design one such classifier, and this is actually a line which is drawn parallel to y-axis and perpendicular to x-axis. So here you can see all the data point on the left hand side indicate the person will not buy the computer, and all the data point on the right hand side indicate that person will buy the computer. So here you can see we have given two input to the classifier, that is age and income. But you can see from the concept of this classifier, this is actually a line which is parallel to y-axis and perpendicular to x-axis. So here the classifier is just taking only one parameter, that is, it is considering the income level of a customer. And if the income of a customer is greater than a particular x value, say particular income value, income is greater than x value or some threshold value, then person will buy the computer. And if the income is less than a threshold value, then the person will not buy the computer. So we, can you see the results, and we may be satisfied with the performance of this classifier. However, there are some data, three red point which occurs on the right hand side of the classifier. It means 3% will, out of these, the classifier has given me the output, 3% will not buy the computer, but it occurs on right hand side, where predominantly the blue dots indicate that the person will buy the computer. So we can survive with this result, and we can say the classifier performance is okay, and we can survive with this result. So if we want to improve the performance of the classifier, the objective is to design a classifier with better and better results. So we can improve the classifier by designing some another classifier. Say, let's say slanting line, and slanting line, here you can see most of the red points are on the left hand side, and most of the most of the point on the right hand side indicate the person will buy the computer, except only for one red point that is on right hand side, and one blue point on the right hand side. So you can see we have improved the performance of the classifier, and you can see, but this improvement comes when on the cost of something. That is, here we take in previous classifier, here we consider only one parameter, only one x value, that is income. And in this classifier, we are considering both the input, that is age as well as income also. So you can see the person with higher age will require a higher income threshold value to buy a computer. You can see from the top point, the person with high age will require more income threshold, or it must have he must thought that he can buy a computer only after he has say salary or income which is greater than some value. So he then he can decide to buy the computer. But the person with lesser age or lower age can buy the computer with lower income also. So you can see the person with lower age will buy the computer with lower income group. So we can satisfied with the performance of this classifier, but it is the complexity of the classifier that it is taking considering both the input, that is age as well as income. So here this slanting line is actually intercepting both x and y axis, and we take the consideration of both the input, that is age as well as income. Okay, so next we move on to another classifier, and the objective is to improvise the performance of the classifier. Okay, so you can see this is another curve, or you can say it is a quadratic curve with more than two input. That is, it has three input. That is ax square bx plus c, and you can see the performance of this classifier is better than the previous classifier, because on the right hand side most of the data point or all the data points which is predominantly saying the blue data point that the person will buy the computer, except for only one red data point which say that person will not buy the computer. So we have improvised the performance in comparison to a straight line and in comparison to slanting line, but with the cost of something. Here, the parameter that classifier is taking is three parameter A, B, C, and in quadratic curve, it requires three parameter. So we have improvised the performance of the classifier on the cost of parameters. So next move on to another classifier, another possible classifier we can talk about. That is, here you can see a spline curve, and you can see most of the all the red point is on the left hand side of the spline curve, and all the blue dot point are on the right hand side of the classifier. So okay, we have improved the performance of the classifier significantly, but with the cost of something, that is, it require more and more number of parameter. If you know how to draw a spline curve using how many number of parameters that it required to construct a spline curve. So if you want to draw a spline curve, so it require h number of parameters. By the concept, fundamental concept of spline curve, that it require many and many parameter. If you go on say Microsoft PowerPoint window, where for the given data you can draw a spline curve, uh, but uh, uh, but fundamentally or mathematically it require A, B, C, D, G, H, E, F, G, H number of parameters. So the more number of parameters, the more complex a classifier is. So moving on, uh, so we need to understand the concept of inductive bias. So actually, while designing a classifier, we need to make some assumptions while designing a classifier, that the assumption that we have made, that all the data points on the left hand side indicate that the person will not buy the computer, and all the data point on the right hand side indicate that the person will buy the computer. So these are some of the assumptions that we have to make while designing a classifier. So in general, inductive bias is of two types, that is language bias and search bias. In language bias, we consider the way in which we design the classifier. So it may be a straight line parallel to y-axis. It may be slanting line which is intersecting both x and y-axis, or it may be a quadratic curve which require three parameter A, B, C, and it may be a spline curve which required many number of parameters. So language bias talks about or discuss about the different types of line that we drew for a given set of input. And search bias explain the way or the order in which we evaluate the different types of classifier. So if we want to evaluate the performance of the classifier, we may take the classifier in any order. We may take the performance of a straight line, that it takes only one parameter, that is, if income of a person is greater than threshold value, then he will buy the computer. And in slanting line, we consider both the parameter, that is age and income as well. And in quadratic curve, we can take we require three parameter, that is ax square, bx plus bx plus c. And in a spline curve, we require more and more number of parameters. So search bias discuss in what order we can evaluate the performance of classifier. We may evaluate the performance in reverse order, or we may evaluate the performance in sequential order. So these are two type of inductive bias, which is further categorized into language bias and search bias. So going on, we move on to the design of classifier. So how or what is actually the detail within the classification or training algorithm? So you can see, as I have told you, I have the customer data, and I know the age and income level of each customers who are coming to my shop. And this data is nothing but x1, x2, xn, and so on and so forth. And x1, y1, x2, y2, where y1, y2, yn indicate the outcome from the given data, that what outcome or what performance I am looking for. So for this example, that I want to know who all the customers will buy the computer or does not buy the computer. Okay, so X1 is the given customer data, where age and income. So for example, X1 is 30,000 comma 25. So 30,000 is the income, and 25 is the age of a customer. And similarly, X2 is 80,000 and age is 45. So whereas the output that I'm looking for, that Y1 is does not buy a computer, and Y2 is buys a computer. So this data, this both x and y, is varying too much. That is, x is a numerical value, age and income, whereas y is say statement value, or a statement that it indicate whether the person will buy the computer or does not buy the computer. Okay, so we need to normalize the data. So in order, if we want to normalize the data, we need to take some limitation of the data space. So if we consider the maximum income of a person can be 2 lakh, 3 lakh, 5 lakh, depending on in what context I am looking for. And the age of a person cannot more than, we cannot assume more than 100 years. So if we assume that age, maximum age is 100 year, and maximum income of a person can be 2 lakh. So these two are the parameter that used to normalize the x value. And if the type of classifier that we are looking, that we want to classify the input to an output. If the person will buy the computer, I say the person will buy the computer is given by +1, and person does not buy the computer is given by -1. So there can be variety of uh, outcome. We can define the performance measure. We can define also 1 for person will buy the computer, and 0 for person does not buy the computer. So it depends on the context. It depends on what I am looking for. And then this input data is fed to the training algorithm, that is the main classifier. For example, if we consider a straight line perpendicular to y-axis, then the classifier will take if the income of a person is greater than threshold value, then the person will buy the computer. Or if for slanting line, where we consider the two parameter age and income both, so we need to design a classifier such that it will consider both. If age and income of a person is greater than or less than some value of age, or greater than some value of age and income, then he will buy a computer or he does not buy a computer. So training algorithm may be different types of training algorithm. So actually, it depends on you what type of training algorithm you design. So next, you can see that x1 and x2, we have normalized the data, and 30,000 divided by 2 lakh will give you 0.15, and 25 divided by 100 will give you 0.25. And similarly, 80,000 divided by 2 lakh will give you zero point 0.4, and 45 divided by say 100 will give you 0.4, 0.45. And outcome that I am looking for is y1 is -1 and y2 is +1. Y1 does not buy a computer and y2 buys a computer. So going on, and we have normalized the data, and this input data is fed to the training algorithm, and training algorithm has produced some classifier, and we do not know whether the performance of the classifier is good or bad. So we can evaluate the performance of any classifier by providing the classifier with some validation or test data set. So test data set is nothing but the data which is separated from the training data, and this data is known to the known to the developer or to the programmer, but it is not known to the training algorithm. So we just hidden the some data from training data or some data from the whole data, and we have considered it as a test data, and that can be used to validate the performance of the classifier. So x1 dash x1 dash y1 dash x2 dash y2 dash x3 dash y3 dash. So here we knows the input and level of the customer. The only difference here, the training set may be random data and we do not know, and it is given to the training algorithm. But for test data, we knows what will be the outcome for the x1 dash and what will be the outcome for x2 dash, and so on and so forth. So if the output produced by the classifier, so this is actually the internal within the training algorithm. So we do not know the outcome of the classifier. So the output produced by the classifier is compared with the what is the output given in the test data set. And now we compare both the output produced by the classifier and output known to the programmer or developer. And here, if at the output of test data set is not equal to the output produced by the classifier, then the difference of test data set and output produced by the classifier will be taken as updation parameter to update the training algorithm or to iterate the training algorithm, or we can change if we are not satisfied with the performance of the training algorithm after several iteration, then we can change the whole training algorithm. So the way in which we update the training algorithm, that we take the difference of output produced by the classifier and what is the output required from the test data set, and these two difference will be taken as parameter for updating the training algorithm. So internally within the training algorithm, actually inside this happens, the output produced by the training algorithm is known as y at, and output that is known from the test data set is known as target. And here we compare the output produced by the training algorithm and output that we know. And if it is not equal to the target output, then the difference of these is taken as error for updating the training algorithm. And if it is equal, then we are satisfied with the performance of the classifier, and so on and so forth. So moving on, next we discuss some application. These are some of the application, because it is not possible to discuss all the application. And as you go in lectures, and when you consider other type of application, and when we discuss it in actual lecture, I can give you more and more number of application of supervised learning. So these are some of the applications of supervised learning algorithm. So one such application, we start with a different application like credit card fraud detection. So we can use the supervised learning classification algorithm to solve a problem in detecting fraud in credit card transactions. So we can take the transaction made by the user, and we can flag each transaction as valid or not valid transaction. And the valid transaction is 1 and not valid transaction is 0, or valid transaction is +1 and not valid transaction is -1, so on and so forth. And then for the given data set, we can design a classifier to identify whether fraud has happened in purchasing of items from the credit card. So this is one example of supervised learning problem. And second type of example is we can use supervised learning in sentiment analysis. So there can be variety of application in sentiment analysis, like opinion mining, budge analysis, etc. So in opinion mining, I have given you, I have a collection of opinion or reviews written about different types of products which is available on online market, whether a product is TV, whether it is fridge, whether it is music system, or some reviews about movies, song, or different kind of activity which is performed on internet. So the objective is, I have given you some kind of opinion about the product, or about the music, or about the movies, and I would like to know whether you need to design a classifier, and you can give me the output, whether the reviews are positive and what are the positive points, whether the reviews are negative and what are the negative points. So these are sentiment analysis or budge analysis, opinion mining and budge analysis under sentiment analysis. So actually we want to identify the sentiment written on a blogs, or on a post, or on a reviews, or different kind of things on online application. So is it clear? So moving on, there is another application of supervised learning problem, that is we can use it for churn prediction. So many companies are interested in knowing that whether their customer will continue to use their service or not. So like different D2H service provider, or like different telephone company service provider, they always perform these type of surveys among their user, and they would like to know whether the user will continue to use their service or they will leave their service. So the customer who is not satisfied with the performance of a particular product or company and they want to leave, and that type of customer is known as churner. And the objective of this data, this problem, that the companies are interested to know whether customer is a potential churner or not. So going on next application of supervised learning, we can use supervised learning for medical diagnosis. As I have told, I have patient data and I want to diagnose patient of a specific illness. Or we can use it for further other category of problem. So the first category that I have told, that I am interested to know whether a patient has a specific type of disease, yes or no. And since after analyzing the number of patients who are coming to my clinic, I would like to further analyze whether those customer, how much risk the customer have or patient have in related to a particular disease, yes or no. So we can use it for other type of problem solving in medical diagnosis, that is known as risk analysis. And I would like to know how much risk that a person has related to a particular type of disease, uh, yes or no. So these are some of the application. So here I will stop, and this is the end of lecture 2. And in next lecture, we discuss about supervised learning problem for a regression problem. So in that lecture, I will give you some algorithmic or say example of regression problems, and how regression problem is different from classification problem, and whether there is some kind of similarities, yes or no, and what are the applications of regression problem that we discuss. So here we are not discussing in a mathematical way, we are just discussing the conceptual framework of machine learning paradigm. So thanks, here I stop, and thank you all for listening to this lecture, and we continue with next lecture in the lecture 3. And in that lecture we discuss about regression problem, that is linear regression problem. I will give you example of linear regression, and uh, we therefore, and in that we discuss some of the application also. So now we stop this presentation.